I'm Sandy Johnson, a supervisor of student teachers here at Texas A&M University. I'd like to welcome you to session 1 of our online training to orient our new university supervisors of student teachers. We are happy that you are joining us. Working with our student teachers should be a rewarding and enjoyable experience. Slide 1 is the agenda page for all the sessions. As stated at the top of this page, we've divided this online orientation into 5 sessions. Each session tends to be about 15 minutes or less in length. It is essential that you complete all 5 sessions, but not at one setting. We hope that the smaller blocks of time allotted for each session will enable you to efficiently view all the sessions and revisit appropriate ones when a specific question arises. During the PowerPoint presentation for each session, I will reference pages from the Student Teaching Handbook and various other handouts. All of these pages are listed under each of the 5 sessions that can be found on the TLAC Supervisor Training webpage. Prior to starting each session, it is recommended that you have hard copies ready for all of the handouts that will be referenced during that session. These visuals will help add clarity to the verbal explanations that accompany each PowerPoint presentation. Before proceeding, if you've not already done so, it would be an excellent time to pause and make copies of the handouts for each of the 5 sessions listed on the TLAC Supervisor Training webpage. So pause here if you need to get these materials ready. There's much to share with you about our student teaching semester. First of all, the role of the university supervisor is to be a liaison between the university and the public schools. It is our job to keep our relationship as positive as possible. Likewise, it is our job to keep the relationship between the student teachers and their cooperating teachers as positive as possible. So while we're busy keeping everyone happy, we're also making sure that student teachers are completing all of their responsibilities in an excellent and timely manner. Many of you already wear multiple hats. By becoming a university supervisor, you've just added another hat and more responsibilities. Whether you're supervising 1, 2, or maybe more of our student teachers, we certainly hope that it will be a positive experience. Watching our student teachers blossom into awesome teachers is definitely part of that positive experience. As you know, unique and challenging situations do occasionally arise, but those are the exception rather than the rule. This online orientation will focus on the nuts and bolts or mechanics of supervising our Aggie student teachers. Know that first I will try to be as concise and clear as possible in each of the audio sessions. Secondly, I am well aware that all of this information will be overwhelming. Next, keep in mind, I will start with general information in this first session, and the specifics will come in the other sessions. Lastly, I confess that my slant tends to be elementary, so at times those of you in the upper grades may need to translate some of this information into the secondary environment. For this introductory session, we will begin with a handout entitled Overview of the Student Teaching Semester at Texas A&M. By scanning this handout, you see that it begins with a summary of general information and responsibilities, and at the bottom provides a list of tips for getting started. As mentioned earlier, the sessions that follow this one will focus on the specifics for topics that are briefly mentioned in this handout. Under General Information/Responsibilities, the first item or bullet is about the official first day. In the fall, student teachers begin with the day that students in your school districts report for their first day. Note that in the spring, student teachers begin the day that students return after their winter break. There are 60 days in our student teaching semester. Staff development days attended by a student teacher prior to the official start date do not count. Staff development days after the official start date do count. Holidays do not count, and more than 60 days can be required if needed. It's rare, though, except for the days of absence that are tacked on after the last official day. Our student teachers are expected to be prompt, make up all days of absence, maintain a positive and professional attitude, prepare appropriate lesson plans, follow through with effective instructional and classroom management strategies, etc. There are 4 total weeks of full responsibility. 2 weeks occur somewhere during the middle of the semester and 2 weeks towards the end of the semester. Be flexible with the when. Let cooperating teachers determine this. You will conduct a minimum of 2 seminars, and these are mandatory. Use the Student Teaching Handbook as your guide for the orientation seminar, and the second seminar topic is your choice. A wrap-up seminar towards the end of the semester is optional. You will observe each student teacher 4 times if all is going well, more if needed. Conduct 2 formal observations before and 2 after the midpoint conference. Each is a minimum of 45 minutes in length and is referred to as a formal observation. During an observation, you will critique in writing the entire lesson using the formal observation form. You will spot check all lesson plans, read written feedback from the cooperating teacher, and read all of the student teacher's journal entries. After each observation, there is a follow-up conference with the student teacher. Try to focus on self-evaluation by the student teacher. Pay close attention to the next bullet. It is a TEA requirement. Following each formal observation and follow-up conference, use the link provided by the Student Teaching Office to go online and enter all required information on the formal observation form. A 3-way midpoint conference occurs during weeks 6 or 7. Prior to this conference, you will have completed 2 of the formal observation forms, while the cooperating teacher will have completed at least 1. You and the cooperating teacher will each complete a hard copy of the midpoint final evaluation form for the conference. Using this form as a guide, you and the cooperating teacher will discuss the student teacher's strengths and weaknesses with that student teacher. A 3-way final conference occurs during weeks 11 or 12. Follow the same procedure that was described for the midpoint conference. An option is to provide each student teacher with a letter of recommendation, and I do this at the final conference. The last bullet is about reference forms. Be prepared to fill out reference forms sent to you by school districts with whom your student teachers apply, and these will definitely mount up. Now my suggestions for getting started are to, first of all, read the Student Teaching Handbook. This is a must, so definitely do that. Next, prepare a folder of materials for each cooperating teacher, and this folder is discussed in the last audio session, that's session 5. Next, prepare a handout or memo for each principal, and we will look at a sample memo in the next slide. You will deliver the cooperating teacher folders and each principal's memo prior to the arrival of student teachers. Place a folder in each teacher's school mailbox well in advance of his or her start date for the semester. You will orient cooperating teachers, so clarify on the cover page of the cooperating teacher folder how you intend to orient your cooperating teachers. This could be face-to-face or a telephone conference. You will orient student teachers, so communicate a day and time to your student teachers for this orientation seminar. At the bottom of the page, you can find my contact information, my email, and my home phone number. There is additional information at the link that is provided at the bottom of the page. The last item for this session is the principal memo that was just mentioned. Keep in mind, this is just an example. You are to add to it, delete from it. In other words, put your personal spin on it. When creating this document, as well as others that will be shared in the sessions that follow, be sure to include your name and contact information. This concludes Session 1.